It has been exactly a month since I posted my last video, therefore it really feels good to be back on my YouTube channel. And this year, I am really excited to show you some amazing places in New York City, and even more than that. Not to mention, make some videos about being a professor and education, along with some of the challenges that it faces. But for this week, we are driving out to Jones Beach State Park. Sorry about my windshield being just a little bit dirty, however this year, the city is in a serious competition with Mother Nature, and we are winning. For every 1 inch of snow that falls, the city puts 3 inches of salt on the road. At this point, I am convinced that there is a serious surplus of salt in the city. And even if there is a 5% chance of a snowflake falling somewhere, salt will be sprayed as a precaution. So first, let me go to the west end and show you the tip of the beach, as it is a great place to go to get away from the crowds. I mean, not always, especially in the summer, but many times. Now, in order to get to the beach, you have to walk on this trail here, which is actually really nice. However, my luck had it that there was a single person walking in front of me. And since I walk fairly quickly, I was closing the gap between us rather fast. And that had to be a weird feeling for that poor person in front of me, as it was only us, what seemed to be separated from the rest of the world with nowhere to run. He was probably feeling uncomfortable with me closing in. I was thinking, which one of us is the serial killer? I mean, after all, it's just us in the middle of winter going to the beach, specifically in a place furthest away from all the people. But we made it, and check this out. It looks like a surface of the moon or something like that, but it's a really enjoyable feeling to come here with really no one around you. Well, except that guy who I probably scared to death at this point. But other than him, no one else. Beautiful, clean, undisturbed sand and the sound of the ocean waves. Oh, now you can really relax to this scene. Trust me, to come here on a warmer day in winter is a real treat. And right there is the end where many people go fishing. Looks like our only other person on the beach decided to go there, so maybe I will not follow him all the way till the end. Jones Beach opened to the public in August of 1929, so unfortunately, right before the Great Depression. However, it has since become one of the most popular destinations of many New Yorkers in the summer months. And, not to mention, you can really pick up some really cool seashells. And if any of you would like to see how the beach looked like about 75 years ago or so, you can watch a film called The Girl from Jones Beach, which was released in 1949, and it starred Ronald Reagan, who became the future president of the United States. But the setting for that film was Jones Beach itself. Okay, so now let us drive to the other side of Jones Beach and park in Field 6, which I think is probably the most popular parking lot here, and it fills up very quickly in the summer as it's really the closest to the beach. If you would drive up a bit more, back in the days, you would also be able to park and go to the beach on Field 9, but that closed in the 1970s. Jones Beach was a vision of no other than Robert Moses, a controversial figure who oversaw many urban projects around New York City, from bridges to parks to highways and even beaches like this one. which used to be just a isolated barrier island, but in the mid-1920s, land began to be acquired and work began, which was a pretty massive project at that time. I mean, one might think, well, it's just a beach, but when you really think about it, it required a tremendous amount of planning and construction. For instance, the beach was raised because you need to take into account erosion due to wind and water, sewage system, access to clean fresh water, hence the famous water tower was constructed, the massive amount of materials which was needed even for something like parking lots. You really see it here when cars are not parked and everything is empty. You really get a feel of how massive these parking lots really are. And of course, you need to build the infrastructure for cars to get here. Hence the Southern State Parkway, Wallach State Parkway, followed by, in the 1930s, the Meadowbrook State Parkway. All meant to serve as a connection to the beach as a getaway for middle-class families. None of the poor people from the city using public transportation because it's Robert Moses we're talking about, and hence, like I mentioned, a controversial figure. So here we are on the boardwalk, which runs from Field 1 parking to Field 6 parking. So even if you want to take a stroll by the beach and enjoy the fresh breeze, it's a place to be. But there are two bathhouses. The one on the other side is the West Bathhouse, and here we have the East Bathhouse. And I parked from this side because I wanted to show you specifically the East Bathhouse because this is the first one to open to the public. Like I mentioned, in 1929, well, specifically on August 4th, 1929, with the presence of Governor of New York, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who shortly afterwards became the President of the United States, being elected for 4 terms, an interesting history on its own. So this was the first bathhouse to open, and then the one on the other side opened as well. But I have completely forgotten that this bathhouse is undergoing renovations. As you see, pretty extensive ones, with the anticipation date of summer 2026 to be completed. Now, the bathhouse from the other side also has gone through extensive renovations and opened back a few years ago. But around the perimeter, you do have some interesting history and images of the beach through the years. Like, take a look at this image from the 1950s. So many people. And look at the parking lot on the top left. It is packed. In the back, you can see the Jones Beach Theater, which I will show you in a second as well. But I love to look at some of these older photos from archives, and every single one shows the beach being packed with people. As we continue our walk, we can come across the Wild Play adventure course with zip lines and a 40-foot jump for those of you who like to have more adrenaline going in your system. But it does look pretty cool. I'll be honest, I have never been on this myself, and I don't know. Maybe I can do this at some point in the future, but those of you who watched few of my videos, you know that I am not a big fan of heights. So the video would probably be me screaming like a little girl for most of the time. Of course, there's so much more here, like basketball courts, ping pong, baseball, you name it. If you name it, it's probably here in some form or another. And we get to the Boardwalk Cafe, where I realize that maybe I'm getting a bit older, as the only thing that I really began to be interested in at this point is this red Adirondack chair, which I had all to myself. Nope, I am up. I refuse to believe I am getting older. In my mind, I am still 25, even though my left foot likes to remind me otherwise. But you know what's kind of quirky and fun? This right here. Like a ship air vent, which is actually a garbage can. I really think it's clever and cool design. But you can keep walking on the boardwalk and you will reach the other bathhouse on the other side, right there in the distance. But let me stick around here in the central mall, in the middle of the bathhouses, where we have the Boardwalk music shell, which was, and still is, used for dancing, music, various contests, and you see the date of 1929. The opening year displayed right there in the middle. And also you have seahorses for decoration. Now, when Robert Moses had a vision for this place, he wanted to have nautical, marine details. And you actually see this in many places, like there with the seahorses. The garbage cans I just showed you. On this building right here, which is actually the restrooms, but on top you see this kind of design which resembles an ocean wave. Something that probably many people will never even notice, but if you look closely, it's there. And I, for instance, love to see things like that. These small little details that someone went through a lot of work to put in. In the Central Mall, we also see the iconic water tower, which I believe was finished in 1930, if I'm not mistaken. It not only was to serve as a focal point of the beach and something to make the area beautiful, but it's also very practical. Inside, there is a water tank, and till this day, it serves as the supply of clean, fresh water to the area. Pumps pump the water into the tank, and then from there, gravity takes over, delivering water to the restrooms, different buildings, fountains, and so on. Not far away from the water tower itself is also where we have the 9/11 memorial. Wow, I just can't believe this took place about 24 years ago. Time goes by really quickly. But we will get back to this topic on the channel at some point this year. Now, I am walking over to the other side of the island where we have the Jones Beach Theater. Originally, there used to be like a wooden structure here, a wooden outdoor amphitheater, but it was torn down in the 1940s. And the current one opened in 1952, going through renovations and expansion over the years to finally this form that we see today. Originally, the idea was to bring high-quality entertainment for the people, hence more theatrical shows. However, in probably 1970s or so, the focus kind of shifted to rock concerts. And so since a lot of concerts are played here. Now, full disclosure, I personally have never been inside. I went to Madison Square Garden in Manhattan numerous times. I have been to Barclays Center in Brooklyn, along with many other places around the city, but I never actually been to Jones Beach Theater. So that is something on my list for the future. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you can, subscribe, And in the next few weeks, I have some really great things to show you. I'm really excited about them. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you shortly. Bye.